says it's live on my screen.
Live
Hello.
from Wolverhampton and Telford and Round Rock, Texas. Is it Round
I'm in
Rock?
Austin, actually. Thank you.
Is it Austin now? I almost got it right. It sounded kind of good until I got it a bit wrong.
until the location's good.
Round Rock's the old address, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm rubbish.
So that's all right. The new one will be Hutto. So come find me, Molyneux Mix.
Anyway, bit of a disappointing scoreline in the end, as we were doing quite well up until the end, but wasn't, to be honest, not particularly out of unexpected. Particularly, I suppose they were pretty good. You've got to say, apart from our first half performance, which was just scandalously awful, and just at least make the good team work for their domination. Don't just sit back and just concede, because that was horrible.
I mean,
that was
even though we didn't
horrible.
touch the ball in their penalty box until I think Connor Cody scored.
Until Cody's
I think
beautiful diving
the
header.
fact that we were still down just one goal going into half, still some credits, additional credit to VAR.
Absolutely, yeah. Second. To be fair, second. But in contrast to my comment about the first half, second half was much better. And to be honest, someone posted this on the commentary, and they said basically, if we're going to lose this playing our game, not this turgid nonsense. The second half, we played our game, the counter-attack game, and it was much better. And lo and behold, it's a whole lot better. We still lost, but you accept that. They're a bloody good team that have just beaten us. Fine, I don't mind losing to a good team. You go, fair play them.
You're going to lose, do it with conviction, right?
Exactly. Do it with, have a bit of class about yourselves, don't just give it up. So, that was horrid first half, absolutely horrible. And a better second half. And that's, I was very, very, very disappointed with Dendoncker. And not because he scored an own goal. I just thought he switches off far too much and he's either static or out of position. And so many times it just annoys the hell out of me. And I thought, and I'd also criticised Moutinho in the first half for basically hiding, and he needed to step up. But he did the second half. Fair play to him. So fair play to the guy. He stepped up in the second half and was good. So,
Well, I think that regardless of what everybody's saying on the internet's there, I think the place you're going to see the most turnover as we go into next season is that midfield. Even though the back line needs its work, I think it's, kind of like a hot take, I would say, is Donker's not even in a Wolves shirt next season, but we'll see.
He's not covering himself. Leander recently is not covering himself in any glory at all.
He's not, and I don't really and I don't know that I harbor any kind of ill feelings towards him, but I just think that if you're looking to upgrade, it's got to be there, and the reason he's getting so much time, I think, is because when Otasowie came on, he saw the youth giving up a goal right away, essentially. So he is the third best option. That's why he's there. Doesn't mean he's the best option. It means he's third best. But I think Matino's gonna, if he still plays, he'll be a bench role next year, right? So there's definitely Ruben's midfield next year, and we need.
Well, we hope so.
I thought Neves was our midfield for pretty much the whole game, and that brain fart by Otasowie, the ball went across into an area where Neves would normally be picking up that loose ball, and then that chance never happens. But unfortunately, he was the one who was subbed, so it was like
it was a bit of a whoopsie.
It was a proper brain fart.
And obviously people are absolutely ripping into him, like, oh, why did you bring on the young player? Oh, it shows you should have upgraded and whatever else. Just take a minute. The guy is only 18 or 19, for goodness sake. You're always going to make those kind of mistakes at your younger age. Of course, it being against Manchester City, in the Premier League, primetime TV isn't the greatest thing. We've got to remember that's their 21st win in a row. They're now 29 games unbeaten with that. Pep Guardiola's side are just monstrous, and they're going to force. And ultimately, they're going to force this and force our kind of sides like us into mistakes. And they did.
Well,
There's a lot of talk. Their bench today was stronger than our first team.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to take as a positive out of that mistake from Ossari is that he had the confidence to even think he could do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's only been playing football for 5 years.
No, I don't know. But the confidence in the ability to think he could do it. Okay, he made a big bit of a stuff up. Well, a lot of a stuff up. But you could see he knew exactly what had happened as soon as he did it. Before they'd even put the ball across and scored from it, he'd already knew what had happened.
I'm not going to go after our youngsters. I'm not going to go after Silva or anything like that. They are learning.
I'll be honest. I thought Silva coming on, which was always the plan. Silva coming on as a sub this season. Coming on as a sub without the pressure. I think he's been better since he's been coming on as a sub.
I don't think he was too bad.
Well, that's it. I think it's having that pressure taken off him. That's allowed him to play with a bit more freedom in his mind, I suppose, and he looks better for it, and that can only be good for us because that means it means he gets valuable game time and experience and learns from it. So
indeed, no, I don't think it was too bad tonight. When he came on, obviously chasing after the ball and so forth, it was always going to be difficult against such a ruthless Manchester City side. But he's just going to let him grow and develop. And say with a full pre-season under his belt, because no doubt he won't be going to the Euros, as many probably would have thought the start of the season he could have been in the contention and so forth. But he won't be going to the Euros. He'll hopefully be able to have a full pre-season under his belt, fully adjust to the city and the environment and the climate, and obviously get used to Nuno's tactics. And I think that will make, and obviously plus Raul hopefully coming back, which as you saw him back in training is amazing news. I think the only big thing is obviously check Raul's head, which is fair enough. But yeah, I think Fabio will make an impression next season. That will be a hot take I will certainly put out on the table, that Fabio will really find his feet next term. I have to say, obviously, also though the assist, the free kick for Cody's header, that from Moutinho was again excellent. What a beautifully pinpointed ball into the box. And now in that kind of situation, if you get your head on it, it can work out, and it certainly worked out.
Tell you what I liked about that the most was that it was actually somebody took a risk in trying to get to it.
Yep. That believe it or not, was absolutely, and that believe it or not was Conor. I think I heard this rightly. Conor Cody's first ever shot on target in the Premier League.
He's
first ever shot on target in the Premier League, and it ended up flying in the net.
It's what we've said for a long time on here about
bring him up, stick him in the box at free kicks.
It's taking risks, taking that risk on getting to that ball. Now he might not. Okay, the next time he goes for it, he might not score from it, but it might skim off his head, deflect it slightly, which puts it in the path of someone else. But if you just stand there and never make that attempt, then that chance can never happen. So I'm really happy to see that he actually went for that. That was the biggest plus for me about all of that was someone actually gambled on a ball, which was
exactly.
Well, you saw Neto leave one off there. I think we were down 2-1 at that point, and he worked his way into the box and he put the ball perfectly almost on the penalty spot, and there was just nobody there.
Yeah.
And it's that same like feeling that you get in a lot of games this season. It's just why weren't you there?
Yeah, well, it was make them, get in there, but just take that chance that's there. I mean, if you don't take the chance, nothing can happen.
Exactly. I know a load of people as well are absolutely caning into Højbjerg and Semedo. Get them a break. I don't think they were too bad tonight.
Semedo had a good game, I thought.
Yeah, I thought
people sometimes again just there are clearly many Wolves fans, right, who have an agenda against Nelson Semedo. Just get off it, for God's sake. He's come from Barcelona. He's grown week by week. Yo is played in a much more advanced position tonight. That was Nuno's choice. But I don't think it was too bad. Just please, Wolves fans, you can see why we get ridiculed sometimes. Get off the back of our players.
I mean, I thought Herrera had an awful first half.
Hi, Richard, by the way.
Yeah.
But he got better in the second half.
Exactly.
So
you can remember.
Mind you saying that, I'm seeing a lot of criticism for Traore, and I was like, what? First half, he was our best outfield player.
Certainly the only outlet. Well, him and Neto.
Yeah, Neto was running around a bit like a petulant child at one point, which was
I mean, he's
annoying.
Yeah,
he seemed to stop that in the second half. So
apart from his booking,
well, yes.
When he's getting close to, is he getting close to suspended? I just said that without thinking. I'm concerned about the number of bookings he's picking up. It doesn't look good. I think any player like Hovier, and I'm sure we'll talk about Otasawi, Neto, the younger ones, you're in a very hard position playing against a team which is one of the best in Europe. To criticise players too heavily, I agree. I thought Hovier would be off, but by swapping it like that, then to the left, he seemed to go into the game. It gave him another piece of life. Semedo, I thought was as good as any outfield player almost. He makes a lot of little trick moves to tackle. Like I've said before, he's not a charge and take the player tackler. He's a nick it, deflect the ball. Usually, you can see he's looking to nick the ball straight away to somebody else, and he just from day one you could see with Semedo he's looking for things which our other players just can't do. He literally seems to be on a different level at times. But the scoreline, I mean, as I'm sure a lot of people will say, you can't argue with it. You could moan about individual errors for the goal with Otasawi, but he's not got into the game.
He's had a brain fart. That's how we described it.
I think it's overtraining. The thing I would say if I'm putting him on is, look, get into the game. First time you get it under pressure, we've talked about playing it out. Don't try that. Just clear until you're in the game, until you're up to speed with the game. Because what he was trying to do is take a touch, take it tackled. He should have just taken a touch, clear it, or clear it, and just get his touch.
That's it. I was just saying before you came on, I was like, the one thing to take from it, he was confident enough to basically believe he could take it on. I mean, he didn't quite get it right, but at least he was. Let's take a positive from that. Yeah. At least he has the confidence in himself to believe he can do it. So,
well, the danger is though he loses that confidence. I would just describe it as not being up to the speed of the game. You'd see it takes a good player to just come on and straight away in that position at that age, just to be straight up to speed. But as Cash said, why do we have to condemn our players? I mean, we're playing a great team. We managed to keep it 1-0, 1-1, and then 1-1 long enough, didn't we? A lot through luck. But again, until that onslaught at the end, there weren't too many shots. We did the usual frustration, but we're just not creative, as you've said. We're not creative. We don't take a risk.
Well, that's what I was just saying before. It's like because it's something that someone else had said about. I don't mind losing if we're playing our game, but what we were doing in the first half was just awful. I don't want to ever see that again. I never want to see that again.
We seem to do it though, don't we? We just seem to do this.
It's just annoying me. The second half totally different. We weren't like some sort of attacking side. The second half, we just played our normal counter-attack football. I don't understand why we didn't just do that from the start. That concede and sit back was just insane, absolutely insane against a team that wants possession. Why are you giving them what they want? Make them work for that possession. Make them work for their win. Don't just lie back. But anyway, that's gone. They didn't do it in the second half, so at least.
No.
Mhm.
But there's something about this playing half a game pattern. It's been going on a long. I just don't. Are they really that tired? I just don't get it. I don't understand why they're incapable of just, just a bit more energy. We've said it for weeks, but it's a game which, until the last 10 minutes, you'd have taken the score, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. I'll be honest, I was relatively happy at 3-1. I was a bit annoyed at 4-1 because it was. I thought it was just a bit annoying more than anything. Yeah. We'd had a couple of chances as well at the other end and on the counters that we didn't quite get, and I felt with a bit more risk at times. Again, we might have done something, but yeah, you deal with it.
I suppose it's a standard feeling you'd get if you listen to any opposition team similar to us who've just played Man City. But that comment is, if we try and play our game, you've got to try and nullify them, and our game would be on the counter, which we know can be successful. But we missed a bit of holding play, I think.
Well, that's it. The first half, it was pretty much panic, sit back, panic, hoof, and then it just comes straight back.
Well, then we also got the ball, nowhere go forward, no forward option at all. Pass back, hoof, and as soon as that ball starts going back, when it gets to Cody, he's not going to pass it to Patricio unless he absolutely has to, because all Patricio's kicking is not as good as Cody's. So if it's going to be hoofed, you might as well hoof it from Cody, who is more accurate and is 10 meters up the pitch, 15 meters up the pitch. So it's going to get hoofed at that point. The players around him aren't going to be able to, against Man City especially, play the ball out, and you can't build there. That leads you to the midfield. Like, where are they in this situation? Where they're being closed down, to be honest, in that game. And then it's a matter of who do you hoof it to? They're not going to win it.
I mean, I thought Neves was our midfield for most of the game up until, as I said, I mean, at half time I was calling for Moutinho to step up.
Yeah,
and he did. To be fair,
he had that period where he was just awesome.
He just getting in, just getting stuck in, being able to ping his balls around and everything. It was great.
It was completely just gone missing in the first half. Second half, totally different player. Different player.
But then Neves seemed to drop a bit.
But maybe that was that. But I think it was more that in the first half, Neves was having to get round more. Second half, he could then drop into his defensive midfield position more, which allowed Moutinho. Well, Moutinho was pushing forward more then, which meant Moutinho in the position that seems to suit him in his latter years now better, and Neves can then sit and do his job in front of them. He looked a lot, just a bit more secure at that point when they seemed to get that sorted out, and that was good. But then, as you say, we're playing a great team. You can't take that away.
21 wins in a row, 29 unbeaten. This City side is they're just a different animal. What Pep has done, even if you hate Manchester City with all their guts, what Pep has done at Manchester City is nothing short of. You just have to take it. You just have to. Bow, as no Alex has dropped off. You just have to take a bow and be like, fair play, credit where credit is due. And big thing is though, can they win the Champions League? Because what's that investment going to be all worth? You can be all conquering domestically, but if you can't win on the European level, then I suppose that's the big one. Can they not screw up as they did obviously last year when everything could have fallen into place, but then they have an absolute shocker against Lyon in that quarter-final, which I must say was hilarious from a neutral's point. But I
don't
really care, to be honest. I think.
I was about to say.
Fair enough.
It's another team I don't follow them. I don't.
But
They don't win it. Yeah.
but that City domestically, that say the trophy's engravers might as well get to work in the morning. 15 points clear now.
It's a sad indictment, really. I mean, this season is one of the ones you just wanted to end. Like we said last week when we talked about the prospect of fans for the last game, just get it over with. Don't even bother.
Yeah.
It would be like a sad, pale reflection of football to have fun. What are you cheering about on the last game when you know the result? I suspect there'll only be relegation or the odd European thing to cheer on. So it would be let's just get over with, get the players off to the Euros who have to go there, and just give Nuno a rest and see what he can come back with.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'd like to see. I mean, now we've got Villa, which is a big game coming up. So much my theory that this game, we were playing Port. I can't even forgotten who we played at the weekend. It was a dull game as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Help me. Can't even.
That's made my brain go now.
Yeah, it's frightening, isn't it? That's how much it means. But
Newcastle.
Newcastle, yeah. I mean, I kind of felt we always draw Newcastle, and we always put a decent performance against Man City, unless we get a player sent off. But it felt like at half time, wow, we've avoided a bullet there, haven't we, or two? But in fairness, there's an element of credit to the team for that, because Man City were doing their usual high press, high energy, and they weren't creating chance after chance after chance.
No, they weren't in the first half. No, they obviously a big reason. I have to say, if they put man of the match on the table, Rui all day up. Yeah, he conceded 4, but still we made 4 or 5 brilliant saves.
There were a lot of blocks too, and a lot of stifling.
Exactly.
And I think you've got to. I mean, I'm sure people will condemn the defenders because it's 4-1, but to be fair to them, I think they did a fairly decent job. What they didn't do is when they get the ball, they weren't able to use it effectively.
I didn't really have a problem with the left-hand side. I thought that dealt with most things okay. I thought Denzonka on the other side, sorry, I know he's going to be called out by a lot of people. And it's not because he scored an own goal, because to be honest, even though I did think he could have tried to direct it in some direction. But anyway, that's very harsh. But I just felt that he was caught napping, he kept caught out of position. He was either caught out of position and people would run past him and he wouldn't track them, or he'd just be static and not react. And it's not just this game. So to be honest, it's been quite a lot of games. Whether he's been in defence or midfield, I don't know what's happened to him. When he came back from injury, he played that first game back from injury, and he was fantastic. He was really good, and you were like, "Oh, great! I'm glad to see him back in the side." And then ever since that game, he's been, for me, pretty poor. I think for a top-level player, and I say top-level player, I mean a player who plays in the Premier League. He just for me switches off too much. He's got the ability, I think, and he's got the pretty much most of the ability that you need to be at least a mid-table sort of Premiership player. At least it could maybe even further in the right role, but not while he switches off like he does, or seems to switch. I say switch as if I know exactly.
I think it's more to me.
But he looks
doesn't
like
read the game.
Yeah.
To me, he's not reading the game well enough to make that call of where he needs to be in anticipation of the threat. I think some of that will come with experience. And I know people say, well, he's played more or less 2 seasons now, because he had his first season. He was hardly playing, was he? And he played a fair bit in midfield when he did start playing. So I think. I think it's a matter of, in that kind of position, he's not somebody he needs a bit more game nous, and he probably needs in and out the team and playing the right team. He got up, he had that header at the end. Again, it's so indicative of him. You think you just need one of those to go in, one of your shots.
Well, I think that's what leads me to think about the sort of concentration part of him. because it's like earlier in the season when he was getting chances in front of goal, and then tonight when he's let a couple of people run past him, and it's just that if he was fully concentrating at that time, and misplaced passes are the ones that underhit passes and playing people into danger. Those are the ones that annoy me the most. Not where he's trying to split a defence or something like that. I can forgive that because that's taking a risk and stuff like that. But these are sort of bread and butter, sort of 5 meter passes, and you're underhitting them or you're putting them behind them or something like that. That's for me. That's concentration. That's not concentrating on what you're doing fully. But again, that's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me, anyway.
I think there's a player in there, but we are missing Bolly. But we're missing the Bolly who
At least he's on the bench tonight, so that's obviously a big step in the right direction.
We don't want to rush him back. I mean, he can sometimes go a bit absent, but when he's on game, he's superb. Just one of those things. You just want to see a game with intensity where you feel we create chance after chance and score a few, and you feel it's just not going to be this season. And if it's
well, and the thing is, the next game, the game against Villa and the game against West Brom, they're going to mean quite a lot to the fans. So if they only do it for 90 minutes in 2 games, those are the games to do it in.
And if they do, 2 results, then we're effectively safe, aren't we?
Is Villa and who? Who's the other one we got after Villa?
I don't know. I was just saying the 2 games that, the 2 games I think that mean the most to the fans would be the Villa and the West Brom game.
Of course, West Brom's on May 1st, so there's obviously a bit of time, right?
Yeah, I want to see 90 minutes of intent.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be gung ho. It doesn't have to be, play our game is fine.
You'd like to see it,
not a half where you're just sitting, letting them out, conceding possession and sitting back and trying to soak up this insane manner that they do.
Bang at it. And if you play the ball back, it goes forward quickly. You've got to think the pass in front of you. And one of the reasons we are risk averse, there's no doubt about it, because I don't mind that too much against Man City, but it doesn't work. Yeah. Because the more you play back, the more they want to press. Their game is high press. You're far better turning them. You're better turning them resetting. Like playing high balls into Neto is a bit of a waste of time when you've got central defenders who are a good few inches above you. Yeah. You want to play. In fairness, he had that great foot race with Kyle Walker, didn't he, towards the end, where he just got clipped the foul. And that's the kind of thing you want to say. He may have got a corner if he didn't foul him. But that's the kind of thing you want to see. That ball.
Absolutely, yeah.
The worst case was a foul. Which if he had avoided that, he may have got a goal kick. A corner. Sorry. So I'd rather see that kind of thing more than just the continuous playing it back and then worrying where we're going to lose it. I thought Silva ran about a fair bit.
When he came on, I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I think
again, and that was just as you were coming on. I was just saying about how now that he's coming on and doing what the original plan was and just coming on for like 10, 15 minutes here and there, how much better he looks having that pressure lifted off him.
Yeah,
exactly. So he'll go into it, and he'll
learn from it,
and he'll find his goals at some point. He will become consistent. Yeah. It's just a case, obviously, just mould him in. Obviously, will we keep Jose at the end of the season?
Do something. He's just got to. I mean, Jose's job is really just to do what he's doing. I mean, he needs to be a bit more involved, as we said, after Newcastle, to say the least. This wasn't a game for him, really, because for him to play in this game, he had to be doing a lot more hold-up and creative play against Newcastle to justify that. So I think that decision to, you can see why I put Smeaton there, because he's got a bit more legs. And we said before, didn't we, a while ago, about Smeaton playing central mid as an option. against Man City, it isn't probably the optimal game to try it. But
No.
typical Nuno. In fairness to Nuno, there, looking at that, I would say, maybe it didn't work, but at least we tried something. I kind of feel,
I think we've done that too many times where we've sat that sitting back and trying to soak.
No, I don't mean
not
anything bad.
even soak up pressure because we're not soaking up pressure. We're just adding pressure because it's not even that we're sitting back and then knocking the ball about. It's sitting back and then giving and then it's just essentially clearing it directly back to somebody because we've got everyone
But do you think
too deep. So the headers are coming out and going out, and then there's no one there to pick up that loose ball.
Do you think the idea was though to play the ball into Semedo, who then looks for using his quick feet just to get a yard, and then play the ball onto Traore or Neto?
Yeah, and that side of it's fine, but if you've got a back line of about 7 players, then a cross comes across, they head it out. And who's it going to go to? It's only ever going to go to another Man City player because there's nobody, literally no one there. Got no problem with the defensive style because we showed it in the second half. We still played that defensive style, but now the midfield are a bit further up the pitch. So when the ball comes out, they're there to intercept that, pick up those loose balls, and then start those counter-attacks. We couldn't start the counter-attack because literally everyone was just standing in a line. Too many people in a line. At the back,
in a line at the back, very very neatly set up, but just too far back.
I just cannot understand the mentality of that because if you want to be defensive, fine, but you want to be able to hold onto the ball, not just give it straight back so they can have another.
And it was mentioned.
Otherwise, you may as well become like a little gym troop and stand in the goal and all sort of put each other on the shoulders and just try and cover the goal.
Yeah, he was mentioned in commentary, rightfully so, actually. He was mentioned in commentary that, well, in terms of, if have to say someone like an Adama just left towards halfway. I think he mentioned this on the weekend. I mean, have an Adama who's got sheer pace when he gets given the space, halfway at the pitch or a considerable way in front of the defenders if a ball comes through to him.
To be fair, I think they did. But the problem is because there was no one in between him and the defensive line, so you've got a big line here with your midfielders and defenders in it, and then Neto and Traore and Semedo somewhere-ish on the wing, but not in the middle. It just goes, ball comes in, they head it out, and then just lands where there's no Wolves player at all and lots of Man City players. So they get the ball straight back and again. And that was, for me, that was the tale of the first half, really. Okay, this time we managed to keep it down to 1, but that was more down to, I think, more down to Patricio than anything else, who I'm going to say is also my man of the match. So we do man of the match,
yes,
by the way.
Yeah.
I think it's a Patricio clean. I think it's a Rui clean sweep. Yeah, it could have been 6. It could have been 7 or 8.
Yeah, I can't agree with that.
Anyway, let's leave this one behind now. And
indeed, I suppose in a few bits of other news as well. In terms of other bits, which I do like to bring up actually. Two things that spring to mind. First of all, the UK and Ireland looking set to bid for the World Cup. Woohoo for 2030. And with it being expanded to 48 teams, then I'm thinking maybe if Molineux could be sorted by then and could be above 40,000 and perhaps it's maybe could be worth it. But it will be interesting. But look, £2.8 million being committed in a feasibility study, which is a feasibility study which will be all confirmed in the budget tomorrow. And I say it's going to be across all 5 UK. Across all, the 4 UK nations and Ireland. So fingers crossed we do go for that and go for it because I think it'll be pretty good. Also, obviously, the PM also confirmed that we are attempting to try and he has offered for the UK to host all of the Euros or more games in the Euros. He did confirm that as part of that announcement. So, I wonder if UEFA will change its course. Obviously, also get well soon to Kevin McDonald. on his news earlier in terms of him needing a kidney transplant because of chronic kidney disease. Absolute rock of dynamite in our midfield in the League One winning squad. Very popular at the time, and fully deserves everyone's support. He was an immense player within the middle of the park. And then also Wolverhampton's Young Citizen of the Year award is launched. Club getting it full backing. Leander Dendoncker and Theo Corbenu giving it some nice support. It's for 13 people can nominate 13 to 25-year-olds who believe they've gone the extra mile in the pandemic, and they've got until the 31st of May to do so. And depending on things, those shortlisted will hopefully be at the Mayor's Parlour on July the 6th. I think it will be. And of course, I'm plugging it particularly as a 2015 joint runner-up, which actually, of course, in the prize included being on the pitch at half-time at Molineux for Wolves against Charlton Athletic, that in the opening bit of 15-16, which was the game in which Nuwa Dicko's knee sadly got smashed in. So a bit memorable, but for that sad point, knowing how good Nuwa was in 14-15. Do nominate because Wolves are backing it.
Okay.
Yeah, the Kevin McDonald one. I mean, it brings home as well because he's had that a long time, hasn't he? That condition. So,
yeah, he's had it for 12 years.
Yeah.
I think he mentioned he had it for 12 years. It's just been getting worse.
Yeah, and he brings home that idea that a player has to look for the best move you can get. The career's short, and you can't begrudge a player who, looks for when a bigger move comes, takes it. It's a short career, even at this, when there's lots of money around. So I think we should always bear that in mind, with players.
He moved to Fulham as well. He moved to Fulham as well in 2016, so when he was 27, I think. So obviously it was a perfect time for him to try and get up into the Premier League, and credit where credit is due. He's obviously being able to play in the Prem. So just such bad luck. It's heartbreaking to know that obviously such an illness can hit, and obviously particularly a footballer who within Wanderers side of League One was was such a core in our midfield.
He was so good for League One, wasn't he? That team had a few players like that.
Indeed, absolutely. And just obviously best wishes to him, and fingers crossed still going. And again, I'm sure, say, Carl Hakimi can no doubt give him some support, knowing it's a professional footballer facing illness, and both those two played together brilliantly. So best of luck,
I mean,
Kevin.
that sounds like it's if he was. How old is he now?
32, I think, looking on Wikipedia.
Yeah, so he's it's not looking good for. Well, you never know. You gotta hope he can return and get a year or two. It can be a short, brutal career, can't it? The World Cup and the Euro is an interesting one because the idea of playing all around Europe and with the final being the big game in one city, it sounds very appealing until you've had what we've had in the last year.
To be fair, I never liked that idea of spreading it over all of Europe. I thought it I liked the fact that it used to be it would be hosted in a country, it would have an identity based around that country, and everyone would be focused on that country for that period of time. And I thought it just made it a bit like, it's just another tournament.
I kind of felt like
it kind of lost that for me.
Well, I think there was an element of that though, because the World Cup is the big one, obviously, and that has to stay in one country. But because you've got however many teams from Europe in the World Cup, the Euros were getting quite big as a one-off event. Yeah. So for me, it kind of felt like a good compromise where just the latter stages would be in one city, especially as was it 32 teams they had in the how many teams
in the World Cup? So there's 32 teams for
Euros.
Euros. So it was 16 teams until 2016, and they expanded it to 24 at 2016, which is obviously I think one of the reasons how Iceland got in. Forget obviously the 27th of June 2016.
But I mean, it kind of, for me, I kind of like the idea but the idea of it going to less countries now makes perfect sense. So, and if that does happen and the UK is more prominent, like you said, it can only be good for the feasibility study for the World Cup. I think without an improved Molineux, we won't get a sniff. There's too many.
Yeah.
You got to factor in Lansdowne Road if Ireland's in there, and I'm sure
Lansdowne Road being the
not Lansdowne Road.
the
Yeah, Lansdowne Road. Yeah.
that being it was the Aviva Stadium. It's where the Aviva Stadium is. The Dublin have two actually in the Aviva Stadium and Croke
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah,
The only bit of
they
the
won't use Croke Park.
yeah the only bit
I'll
the
be
only,
honest. I don't understand why it's a joint bid with the UK and Republic of Ireland.
I think one of the
It
reasons
eh?
helps
is I think one of the reasons is because of the expansion to 48 teams ultimately, and obviously trying to
we
spread
do
it
all in
around.
England. We've got enough
Yeah.
stadiums. We're fine.
Well, we've got
understand.
we've got 11 states. So the big thing is that all stadiums who host World Cup games have got to be over 40,000 capacity, and England has 11. And then at the USA, Canada, and Mexico's bid collectively has 16 stadiums covering, 16 stadiums, 10 in the US, 3 in Canada, 3 in Mexico. I think it makes logical sense, knowing too that Glasgow has 3 stadiums alone, which is above 40,000 in Handham, Celtic Park, and Ibrox. There's obviously Murrayfield in Edinburgh, which is 67,000. The Millennium Stadium, which is I think 70 odd thousand. The only place and obviously the 2 stadiums in Ireland. The only place that doesn't have an above 40,000 stadium seater yet is Northern Ireland. But I know a GAA stadium, Casemount Park, is going to go up to nearly 35k, and I think they can be able to expand it because. But yeah, Belfast would absolutely. I'm sure the devolved administration in Belfast would absolutely want to play host.
There is a problem here. You've got 5 countries as host nations, which
you can only do it if it's one British team. Back to the British team. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. We would take up. We would take up. I think. How many places there for Europe? I think it goes up to 16 sides for 2026 for Europeans.
I personally, I don't think they should do these combined bids. I don't like them. I don't see the point. I also don't see the point in trying to send it to when they go, oh, well, we've got to take the World Cup to somewhere where there's no football. Why?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Why have you got to take it to somewhere where there's no football? This makes no bloody sense at all. Take it where there's lots of football, where everyone can enjoy it.
The place which did make a big difference is the US, and I mean, football is taking off in the US quite big. Part of that is the American football kind of concussion damaging, playing, but it is a game which is growing, and I kind of haven't been to one football game in the US. I do think it's got legs there. And I do think the Americans can do things like that quite well, and it probably has been a success taking it to America, and it might be in terms of reinforcement another positive. The one you're referring to is Qatar, is it?
Yeah. What a load of old bollocks!
They have grown and they have. Yeah, obviously Qatar's was ridiculous, and clearly it was bribed. I think probably one of the reasons why obviously FIFA have been in such a weird and just crisis situation since Sepp Blatter won his re-election and resigned 3 days later.
Well, for me, as soon as they basically won it on the premise that they would have these air-conditioned stadiums, which would allow them to play it
at comfortable temperatures within the heat of the summer.
And the fact of the matter is, as soon as they said they can't do that, it should have been taken off them. Because they're not fulfilling the contract.
Exactly.
Take it off them, move it to somewhere that can actually.
Which would have been Australia, I think. Australia was second for 2022, if my mind serves me correct. But although Qatar on the pitch have improved because they then did win the Asia Cup last year. In 2019, Qatar did then go and win the Asia Cup to everybody's shock. So clearly that investment has worked, but.
No, it's just
it is a farce.
Sticky mess of bribes and intrigue.
There is a slightly more pressing issue on. Is it Saturday we have to consider?
Yes,
against Aston Villa, a 5:30 kickoff, if my mind should be correct.
Yeah.
Away at Villa Park.
Just
tough
go out
one.
and bloody win it. That's all I can say.
Yeah,
'cause I'm
tough one.
sick of it, and Go
Tough
out,
one to
play
call
like
because
you bloody mean it, and win the fucking game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm bloody sick of all this bloody. Oh, it's just annoying.
come out, go for it in the first half.
The fans. This is a game fans are pissed, bothered about. This West Brom will be the games that the fans really want to win. Just go out and put a show on. Risk averse, put a show on. We've got the players, we've got the ability, we've done it before, we can do it again. And that is all I am going to say on it.
I can't disagree with that. Just all I want to see is intensity, desire, and none of this kind of. I will play for 37.5 minutes. We'll play for 7 minutes in the first half and 30 minutes in the second half. Play for 98 minutes if you have to. And if you can't play certain players because they're not up to it, and you know you can only make 3 subs and you keep one for injury, factor that in. Have a plan, have intensity. I think Grealish is out still, isn't he?
Yeah, for Grealish is injured, which is a small bonus. I think he is injured, isn't he? So that's obviously a small bonus. But obviously,
sorry.
Rehab.
Allegedly. Well, I think you made your point clear there. But he's obviously Villa in our situation.
That is going round. It's a dirty rumour, and it probably isn't true. And in fact, it won't be true. It'll be just completely made up. But it's a bit of fun to be able to say that, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a comedy joke. I mean, as a player, he's.
Oh God, yeah. He's a good
on his day, he's phenomenal, and he should absolutely be in this summer's Euro squad, regardless. Considering when he plays well, he's a machine. He is an absolute machine. And obviously, I think it has been a big help as to why Villa have spent well, and for them at the minute, it's working. I think they've still got a few games in hand and are in the mix for Europe. It has to be said. And all right, fair play to Dean Smith and they're doing a pretty good job on that basis. I'm sure they would have taken it, particularly after last season's shambles, where they no doubt would have been relegated if Hawkeye was switched on against Sheffield United. But it obviously, I think form might go out the window because it is a local derby. If we could just come out and mean it as we should have done.
As Ruth said, play 90. You're playing for 98 minutes, not 90 minutes. 98 minutes is how long you're playing for. Go out and look. You don't have to be gung. I'm not saying gung ho, but play with purpose.
Just effing go for it.
I was going to make that point. You don't want to be drawn into the. You touch them, they're going to go down. McGinn's going to be on the floor. They're going to. Grealish will be phoning and saying this. In the training, this is how you go down.
I've sent you some of my. I've sent you some of my boots. They've got no studs on whatsoever. They're bowling shoes.
Yeah. So it's a game where you want to keep a level head, a cold, steely eye, and play with intensity.
Indeed.
Know when to back off, but just go. As you said, we just got to go for it. We need a performance as a club. We unbeaten runs over. We just need to get out there and achieve something. So with that, I'm going to predict a gritty 2-1 win.
I'm going for a nice 6-0 victory to Wolves. After heeding my rousing speech at the start of this, I'm going to go with a 6-0 thumping.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what you've been taking?
Yeah, I was going to say,
I found a shop that sells cider house cider in large flagons, and it's very tasty.
Cider is good. Obviously, please do it responsibly, folks.
If anyone from the cider house is watching this and would wish to send me some more, please do.
Is that the cider house out towards the River Severn?
That one, yes. Yeah, but they sell it in a lot of like butchers and farm shops and stuff, and it's I can heartily recommend it. It's very nice.
Nice,
well,
excellent.
I have to say, as this is football related, after a Wolves match, I'll have to go.
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, yeah, get it. Maybe I'll get another Cobra as I had during that game. Cobra beer, which I think was very nice. Saturday obviously is always a weird one, local derby. But I think the way in which we held City for as long as he did will give everybody encouragement. Obviously, though, Villa being in form means they should, I suppose, on paper be favourites. But no, obviously we did. No, and obviously the way in which we beat them twice last season. Obviously the first one at Molyneux this season was disappointing, but the way we beat them twice last season and so forth was great. And so I'll go with 2-1. I will go with a 2-1. I don't know who will score. I personally not bothered who will score, but providing we actually come out and want to show we mean it. Yeah, provided I want fancy league points. I would like Pedro Neto and Conor Cody to get some more fancy league points. Thank you. But I think you
don't fancy a brace for Patricio.
No, that would be a dream, wouldn't it? That would be impressive. It would cause everyone.
It would be from a goal kick.
Yeah.
Well, the last keeper to score was, I think, the last keeper to score in the Premier League. Fun fact was Asmir Begovic in 2013.
Yeah.
Scores from a goal kick and then a 95th minute corner he comes up for and
for some reason Nuno's going back, and he just goes what and just.
Well, if Conor Cody can steam forward and have an absolutely ASA his first ever shot on target in the Premier League.
No, you've hit the nail on the head there. Let's look at the evidence. Neves header, Cody header.
It's getting slowly further back.
It's going backwards, yes.
The writing's on the wall. I'll tell you, I know what's going to happen. We're 1-0 down. It's the 95th minute. We get a corner. Nuno actually goes, just go. It's the last kick of the game. Just go.
Patricio will go up and header it in.
He goes to kick it, slices it. It hits McGinn, who falls over thinking it's been fouled. And then Patricio goes down to say sorry, and the ball bounces in. We then get the kickoff. McGinn's still a bit dazed. He kicks the ball. Traore races down, charges down. People are saying, did the referee actually blow? And scores. And the referee go, yeah, blew. And then it goes to VAR to see if he blew twice.
Could you imagine how the whole of Aston and Witton and wherever else would go into complete consternation? It would be glorious, but we shall see. We shall see. I think that's a good way to end, dreaming in that manner.
I think
I'll probably have a dream related to that whilst asleep shortly.
I'm off to the side of the house already, I think.
So if you wish to join us on Saturday after the fantastic romping win, 6-0, and all that, please do. You're very welcome, and we always like to see a new face, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Indeed. Have a good one, David and Rich. See you then.
Cheers. Bye.
Cheers.